Hey, what's up everyone? This is Silver Slayer. Welcome back to another video. Today we have a very interesting and exciting video. This is the world silver production, how much silver is dug out of the ground every year. But not only that, we have charts going back hundreds of years, back I think all the way from 1492 to 2017. We have the yearly annual silver production. This is a very interesting and educational article. I think you guys are going to definitely enjoy this. So before we start, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you already haven't. I post daily videos, so stay tuned for that. So anyways, the link will be in the description if you want to check this out. Let's dive right into it. So the world silver production, 3 charts you will not see anywhere else. So this is interesting because it not only shares the yearly annuals going back hundreds of years, but also the story behind it, what was going on in the economy behind it. It gives some backstory. So it kind of wraps everything up together. So I think you guys are going to enjoy this. So anyways, let's jump into it. The rate at which global silver production increased over the past century is quite astonishing. When Columbus arrived in America in 1492, the world only produced 7 million ounces of silver a year. Today, the world's largest primary silver mine, the Cecilio mine, produced 3 times that amount in just 1 year, 22 million ounces in 2016. Yes, we have come a long way in 500 years, and we're going to keep, rapidly, growing in the future as well. A 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the line, we're going to look at these production amounts and laugh at those as well. So hopefully, at least, unless there's some issues that could definitely fall into place, whether it's harder to find or equipment is being faulty or just it's not as profitable anymore. But anyways, just think about that for a minute. One silver mine last year produced 3 times the global amount in 1493. According to the U.S. Bureau of Mines 1930 report on summarized data of silver production, the average annual silver production in the world from 1493 to 1600 was 6.9 million ounces. If we look at that following chart, we see how the world production increased over the past 500 years. So this is a chart over the past 500 years. So from 2000 to 2017, so we see 1493, 1600, 103 times, 723 months. Wow. So, or million ounces, I'm sorry. I'm kind of reading this. Okay, 1600 to 1755 times, that's 722 million ounces. 1700 to 1840 times, 722 million ounces. Wow. See, just look at the rapid growth in in the recent, couple years that we've had. From 2000 to 2017, we've tripled it since back, like, not even 20 years ago, which is actually incredible because look, usually, back in the day, obviously technology wasn't as advancing as fast as it does today. Nowadays, it's like every 1 or 2 years would be like 5 to 10 years back in the day. So I'm curious to see where this number is going to go, in 2030, 2040. It's going to probably be in the thousand, if not couple thousand, and that's really interesting. And that's it talking about in millions of ounces. So that would be billions. And that's insane to even think about. But anyways, as far as we can see, average annual world silver production increased from 6.9 million ounces during 1493 to 1600, to 13 million ounces from 1600 to 1700, 18 million ounces from 1700 to 1800, 51 million ounces from 1800 to 1900, and then 274 million ounces from 1900 to 2000, and then a stunning 722 million ounces. That's crazy. Again, these figures represent the average annual silver production for each time period. In the current period, 2000 to 2017, the world has produced 103 times more silver per year than from 1493 all the way to 1600. However, the next chart shows the total silver production for each period. From 1493 to 1600, the world produced a total of 747 million ounces of silver compared to 13,000. That's 13 billion ounces in just 18 years from 2017. So that's an absolutely crazy chart to even try to wrap your head around. I'm trying to kind of slow it down so it's kind of easier to grasp. But these concepts, these numbers, these figures are so insanely big, it's kind of hard to even explain. But I hopefully you can just look at it from a chart standpoint, from a graph standpoint, and it's easier to kind of look at the ratios on a graph, and just seeing it with your own two eyes instead of trying to actually think about how much silver that is, because that's insane. But anyways, this is a very informational graph, especially showing the direction silver's going in, the demand for it, also the supply. The supply is just as important as the demand, because even if the demand is there, if the supply isn't there, the silver isn't being bought because there's none to be bought. So the supply has to be up to par. Let's say let's say silver blows up and everyone wants to buy it. If the miners aren't digging it out the ground and putting those coins in circulation, or if if they don't have the metal to purchase, or to sell at least, then that silver, it doesn't matter how much demand is there. Maybe on a paper silver aspect it would, because they can make it out of thin air essentially. But for the physical bullion, for the coins, it's not, it can't just, they can't just make just appear silver out of thin air like they do with US dollars. And that's another thing I want to talk about when it comes to these productions. This is why silver has real value, because there's actual, they have to actually get this stuff. They have to actually grab it out the ground and dig it and find it. Where when it comes to fiat currency, stocks, cryptocurrency, it's essentially like it's a promise. It's thin air. It's there's no value, because you don't have to dig it out the ground. You don't have to go and get bulldozers and find it, and hope that you can meet up to the demand with the supply when it's a circulating supply. And then you have to have the mints and all that back stamp and produce these coins. And then also, not even that, then have to have the people that actually want to buy them from those mints, and have so it's crazy to think about how much goes into the production all the way to the consumer at the end of the day, for our coins to be sitting in our safes or our bank vaults, or whatever the case is. So that's how crazy this market is, but also how incredible it is as well. But anyway, so now for the last reason, or for the reason the last silver bar on the right, or the silver bar on the right chart, is lower than the previous one, has to do with comparing 18 years worth of silver production versus 50 years. It took 50 years to produce 17,061 million ounces during 1950 to 2000. Versus 13,000 million ounces in 18 years from 2000 to 2017. If we compare the world's silver production from different periods, here's the result. So 26.4% is from 2000 to 2017. 61% is from 1950 to 2017, and then 82% is from 1900 to 2017. So that's a really interesting graph to look at, and those were really interesting numbers to look at and percentages. But while a little more than a quarter of all the world's silver production was produced in the past 18 years, 82% was produced since 1900. That's a lot of silver. It turns out that 40 billion ounces were produced from 1900 to 2017 out of the total 49 billion ounces. That's crazy. That's interesting. That's more than half of that was consumed in industrial silver applications. And then he mentions he's going to be writing about that more in future articles. And that's something I talk about a lot. The industrial uses for silver is out of the water. When people look at silver as just coins or jewelry, they're missing the whole concept. We need silver. It's the most highly conductive metal for thermal conductivity and electricity. We need it in all these electronics, especially the technological age we're advancing in. So when you see numbers like this, when you see how much demand there is, especially looking at a chart like this where these billions of ounces are being mined out of the ground, this is full proof that these companies, these corporations, these companies need this silver. That no other metal performs like it, and at a rate of millions and millions of ounces, especially every year. How we're being able, the way we're advancing, we're being able to dig it out the ground, twice as much in a period of 10 years compared to a period of 50 years, and it's going back historically. It's crazy, and that's really, really exciting. That's good news. That's a very healthy market for silver. It's a really interesting way to look at it, and I wish more people did look at it like this. So he goes on to say the last chart he finds quite interesting. If we go back a little more than a century, the United States was the largest silver producer in the world. In 1915, the U.S. produced 75 million ounces of silver out of the total 189 million ounces mined in that world. So the U.S. almost doubled, or I mean, almost produced half as much silver in just the US compared to the entire world. That's really high. That's incredible. If you see this chart, that's, that's the US, that's the entire world. And that's a really interesting chart to look at because US is essentially small compared to Africa, Asia, all the different continents and countries. And that's 40%. That's almost half. Mexico came in second in 1915 by producing 39 million ounces. But thus the U.S. silver production only accounts for 4% of the world mine supply versus 40% back in 1915. What had changed in the last 100 years? You should see silver is becoming more of a global, type of supply. We got the Mexican libertads, we have the Chinese pandas, we have the koalas, the Somali elephants. We have all these coins appearing. People are starting to look into silver, find it more beneficial more than ever. So this is a really interesting article. Like I said, the link will be in the description if you want to check it out. What do you guys think about this? I know these numbers are huge. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around how much silver this is, but I hope I was able to break it down kind of in a perspective that you can kind of just relate to or understand. I think this stuff is actually really incredibly interesting. I definitely think this is one of the more interesting articles I've found in a while, and I'm really happy to make this video for you guys. I hope you guys did enjoy this. If you did, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you already haven't. I post daily videos. I'll be posting more videos today. It's Saturday, so I'm pumping out these videos for you guys. As long as you guys keep loving these videos and liking them, the more I'm going to be creating content for y'all. So anyways, thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I will see you guys soon. Peace.